Hello. We're live. How you doing? I'm Amanda Call. This is and this is a comic page. This is Age of Night, chapter 30, page 7. I started this last week, and for our first stream, we got everything roughed in. I have 3 panels mostly done. I'm not quite done with this one of Fell here. And 3 more panels that still have ways to go. So we're going to continue working on it this week for the next hour or so. I need to sharpen my pencil first off, because this is very dull. And we'll see how close we get to having this done by the end of this hour. All right, I'm going to finish off this one that I didn't quite finish last time. Hope everyone is doing well. I've still been spending a lot of my time recovering from my wretched head cold. Like, really, I should be over this by now, but I still have like a lingering cough, which I'm sure was not helped by how terrible the air quality has been all week. Hey, Spud. Thanks for joining me. Because, like, living in Maine, it's like, yes, we don't really have a lot of primary sources of pollution here, but we're at the end of the jet stream. And so it's like, oh, is Canada on fire? Yeah, all of that smoke comes right to us. So we've had lovely red sunrises and sunsets for the last week or so. And hazy, hazy days. It's finally starting to clear up a little bit. Like we got a little bit of rain. It's starting to clear off some. It's still a little hazy, or it has been. Today it's just been rainy, but not helping with the recovering from a cold situation because there's just like so much crap. I don't feel like I can breathe. Um, as for other stuff that happened over the last week, on Friday, I had the opening reception for the Rock and Art Shop in Bangor. The Soames Gallery there. They have the Celebration of Pride show going on for all of June and part of July. And I have a piece in that show, so I was at the opening reception, which was a really good time. There's so many cool artists there, and oh my gosh, the show is really good. Like, there's all sorts of really cool stuff. And okay, I'm gonna mute for a second because I have to cough. Okay, that was disgusting. Anyway, drink tea. Try to. So what was interesting is, so like the piece that I did is I made a quilt, like an art quilt, because like quilting and sewing and that sort of thing, a lot of those kind of handcrafts are like one of my hobbies. Not something I've ever tried to like monetize as part of my work, just something that I enjoyed doing in my free time and making gifts for people and that sort of thing. So I made an art quilt that was of the original Gilbert Baker Pride flag design. So that's the one with the 8 stripes: pink, red, orange, yellow, green, uh, voice, indigo, and violet. And each one has an original meaning that he had assigned to them and everything. And the flag has changed a lot over the years, so it's not exactly like that anymore. Um, but I recreated that design, and each stripe, it was like a patchwork of a bunch of different like fabrics. So it's got this kind of neat, scrappy look to it. Um, and it's double-sided, so it still actually and has, like, a casing and everything, so it still actually works as a flag, and everything was, like the seams in between the stripes are all flat felled, so there's no, like, big, like, rugged se like, rough-edged seam anywhere, so it actually still could be used as a flag. You wouldn't wanna, like, hang it outside for an extended period of time because it's all just made out of, like, quilting cotton, so that wouldn't hold up super well, but, it was a ton of work, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And originally, when I told them I wanted to make it the same size as the original Gilbert Baker flag, which is 3 by 5 feet, they were like, "Well, I don't know if we'll have enough room for that, so we may have to, like, have it, folded up and draped over, like, a quilt rack or a pedestal or something," and I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, like, whatever you gotta do," but some of the other pieces were smaller than expected, so they actually have it hanging, like, fully, like, extended, unfurled, hanging on the wall, which is like, "Ah!" And it looks so pretty in that gallery lighting. Oh my gosh. Had to think for a minute while I was working on this face. Anyway, but yeah, so I did a quilt. My good friend Mariana, who was also in the show, did this really awesome, triptych of these little, like, critters. She paints these little critters, and they're just little critters. They're like, vaguely animal or bug-like or whatever, but not anything real, and they're all sorts of fantastical colors, and they're just little guys, little guys. She did a whole bunch of them, like, painted a whole bunch of them on fabric and then appliqued them onto 3 different, like, pieces of fabric and then hand embroidered all over each one of them. And one of them is, like, the structure of a slime mold, one of them is a, like I lost the words, mushrooms. What do you call it? A mycelium, that's what it is. One of them's like a mycelium and network, and the other one is a river, like a series of rivers. And so it's just, like, showing these different connections in between all these little guys that also are, like, structures in nature, and it's very cool. And it took her, like, 8 bajillion hours to work on it. This is a very exasperated face going on here on Lolly. Just like, "What is this day?" But anyway, so the reason I described both of our pieces specifically is that, like, so it was basically just the theme for the show. Cavalera, thanks so much for joining me. Um, like, the theme for the show was just pride-themed artwork and whatever that meant to you. But I was like, "Oh, we're both doing, like, a fiber arts thing, like, that's kind of funny," and I was a little bit worried we'd be, like, the only 2 people there who did anything fiber arts like, and it would be just, like, weird because we're also friends, and it was just like, "Oh, no, we're suffering from same brain." And our same brain has invaded, has taken over. Um But there was actually, like, yeah, there was, like, some photography and painting and collage and all sorts of other cool stuff, and mixed media pieces, but there was actually quite a lot of fiber art there, like, beside ours, and I was a little bit surprised by that, and I was like, "Oh, that's kinda cool." Like, someone else had, like, embroidered an Audre Lorde quote onto, like, a quilted panel. Someone had done a crocheted, tree of life in all of the Progress Pride flag colors. It was really cool. Um, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, so it definitely wasn't just us, but that's, like, interesting that so many of us ended up doing this." And talking to the gallery owner during the reception, and she was telling me that, like, yeah, actually, originally, one of the, convention one of the show, like, exhibit organizers, had originally pitched to her that it should be a pride-themed fire arts show specifically because the piece that they had was a quilt as well, which that's also a whole other, like, really sad story, but I'll get there in a minute. Um, like, heartwarming, but also sad. But anyway, oh my gosh, what is happening with this? So yeah, the original idea had been to do a pride-themed fiber arts show, but they were like, "Well, I don't know if that's gonna be if we'll be able to get enough people who like enough queer artists and everything who are willing to do that. Hey, Joe, thanks for joining me. Like, we just don't know if that's gonna be like if that's like if that concept has enough to draw from, right? Basically." And so they dropped the fiber arts part of it and then ended up with like a 50% fiber arts show anyway, which was really funny. It was just like, okay, I guess something was just in the air. That's just what was gonna happen. But yeah, the one of the show organizers, because when we got there, I noticed that on one wall, like gallery, there was like it was like a full size quilt. And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't the only person who did a quilt." And also, like, I'm not really sure what is going on with this quilt because when I went up and looked at it, it was like, okay, it didn't, it wasn't like covered in rainbows and other like queer iconography or anything like that. It had a bunch of like bugs and snakes and that sort of thing and like the printed novelty fabrics in it. And it had like a very like muted kind of toned down color palette to it. And I was like, "Well, this is interesting. I'm curious what's going on with this." And then I read in the program because like everybody had obviously you submit your little statement that says what your piece is about and everything. Um, and it was that one of the exhibit organizer who submitted that one, that it was a gift he had made for Tony Soanes, who Tony Soanes was one of the original owners of the Rock and Art Shop, and his, siblings still own and run the Rock and Art Shop, but Tony died, like, really suddenly and tragically a few years back. Like, he was relatively young and nobody really expected him to suddenly pass away. And it was kind of really upsetting for everyone in the community because he was such like a really nice guy, like a huge part of the community. Um, but yeah, this organizer, this artist was a friend of Tony's in high school. And then when this artist Travis came out as a trans man, Tony was always someone who was extremely supportive of him and like really supported him through all of his journey. And Travis had made this quilt for Tony like back when they were friends in high school, and Tony still had it and was still like using it on his bed up until the point that he died. And so it was just like this really beautiful token of their friendship. And the kind of, like, connection and support and everything, and it was just like, "Oh my god." I read that and I was like, "Cool, now I'm gonna cry." Like, that's great. But it's really beautiful, but it was also just like, "Ah, I'm gonna cry in the middle of this gallery opening, into my wine and cheese." But yes, long story short, if you are in the Bangor area sometime in the next month or so, you should definitely go to the Rock and Art Shop and check out the Celebration of Pride show. I mean, you should really go to the Rock and Art Shop anytime that you're in Bangor because they always have cool stuff, and with the gallery right in the shop there, there's, like, almost always really cool art on display there too, so always worth a visit. It's, like, one of my favorite places in Bangor. I gotta clean up that hair a little bit. It's a little sloppy yet. I need to sharpen my pencil again. Oh, I forgot to mute my mic. I'm sorry, guys. That one snuck up on me. Yeah, so that's what I did Friday. I went to that, and then, Saturday, I went and saw a play that one of my friends was, like, one of the stage managers for, which was very cool. I don't need to get too particular because a lot of this is gonna get defined in the inks, so I just wanna make sure I have a basic idea of where all of the pieces are supposed to go. Okay. That's one character in this panel anyway. So, yeah, that was my weekend. What have y'all been up to? How'd everybody's weekend go? How was everyone's entire last week gone? Hello, the Maniac Mana. Oh, that's a great handle. I love it. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing? I'm working on my comic. Making some good progress. We were chatting about my weekend. Oh goodness, I got to cough again. One moment. Gross. Okay. We've got serious discussion going on here, clearly. Clean up some of my sketchy underdrawing there. I need to sharpen my pencil again. I feel like I have not gotten it sharp enough the last couple of times. Now I'm gonna probably break the darn thing. That's usually what happens. Ugh, goodness. Sorry, guys. Okay. Serious exchange going on here. Hey, someone saying, thanks for joining me. Oh my gosh, my constant coughing though does remind me when I was at the play on Saturday. It's like it was a comedy, so I kept on like trying not to laugh because if I start laughing too hard, then I instantly start coughing and it's like a big nasty coughing fit. No one wants that. And I would just like get a tickle in my throat and then be just trying to like ignore it, suppress it, not start coughing all over people, not cough in the middle of this. Like it was a very small theater, like a tiny, tiny theater where I could literally like spit on the actors and I was in like the second row. So it was very a very small venue. If I started coughing, I would literally be coughing over the performance. Everybody would hear it. And so I was trying really hard not to. I'm like just saving like trying to get some coughing out during like scene changes or whatever, like whenever the lights went down, which was a real pain. And then at one point, like back from intermission, I was like trying to get a good series of like clear all the gunk out coughs before I had to not cough much for the next hour. And there were people who were sitting right next to us. It was not a packed house by any means. They could have sat somewhere else, but they decided to sit right next to me. And I'm just like, okay, I guess this is what's happening. And so as I'm trying to get this series of coughs out before the play starts back up, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm really sorry about this. I promise I'm not, like, dying of the plague at this point. I'm not contagious with my cold anymore or anything." I was just like, "Yeah, I had a cold, like, a week ago, and I haven't been able to shake the cough because the air quality's been so bad. What with all the" and of course, I can't stop yammering because that's just kind of what I do. And so I'm like, with all the wildfires and Sahara desert dust and everything, and they're just like, "What?" Like, they had no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, "Yeah, like, the wildfires in Canada." "Oh, I didn't know about that." I'm just like, "Wait, what what?" Like, "I guess it has been kinda hazy out." I'm like, Yeah," and they're like, What do you mean, like, Sahara dust? What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a thing that happens, like, every year around this time, like, a big plume of dust, like, the weather patterns shift, and a big plume of dust from the Sahara Desert crosses the Atlantic Ocean and slams into the East Coast of the United States and wrecks our air quality along with all the wildfire smoke coming in from the west." And they were just, like, looking at me like I was completely insane, and I'm just like, "Okay, okay. I could understand not having, like, heard of the Sahara desert dust thing. Like, that's kind of a little bit weird and esoteric, although it happens every single year, but okay, fine." But the fact that they, like, had no idea there've been wildfires in Canada, and that's why you can't see more than, like, a quarter mile anywhere in Maine, like, all of last week, and the sun was, like, red every morning at sunset. I'm just like, "What how do you not how do you not know what is going on? Do you, like, never consume any news of any type? Like, not even, like, scrolling social media?" Like, it just seemed very odd to me to be completely oblivious as to what was going on. And, like, I'm not someone who, like, obsessively consumes a lot of news. Someone says, "We do live in the US. I've come to understand I can't expect a thing from anyone, really." Fair enough. Like, I don't consume a ton of news because it stresses me out. There needs to be more TikToks about this wildfire thing you speak of. I don't know, these folks were probably, like, a good 10 to 20 years older than me, so I don't know if TikToks would have really done it. But that's just the thing is that I'm like, I really try to not overconsume news because I don't wanna spend all of my time, like, terrified and stressed out, but I do, like, at least keep vaguely abreast of what's going on. And if I could look out and if I go outside and I'm like, "Wow, the air seems really shitty, and the sun is a funny color." At that point, I will go, "I wonder if something is going on," and then I will check the news, like, "What is going on? Why is the air so bad?" "Oh." But you don't even have to, like, check the news, that's on the weather app, for crying out loud. The weather app, they're like, "Poor air quality, there are wildfires." It's just wild. It's wild to me. It's like you almost have to be trying to be this, like, divorced from what is happening all around you. Don't get it. Drake going, "What are you talking about?" And poor Drake is always on the ground trying to like holler up at everybody to be a part of these conversations. Nowadays, if something is wrong, just pick who you dislike the most and blame them for it. I guess that would work. There's Drake going, "What is happening? Somebody tell me what's going on." Smoke in the air must be that neighbor again. Yeah, I got a few neighbors I could do that with. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of talking with some of my friends about the differences between living in the I'm sure I've told this story on here before. I feel like I have. Differences between living in the city slash suburbs and living out in the country like I do. And how oh gosh, I got a cough again. It's killing me. How when you live in like civilization, you hear sirens all the time and you just ignore it. It's just background noise. Whereas where I live, if I hear sirens, I'm like, "Oh, shit, where is that? Is that nearby? Is that on my side of the river? Is that on the other side of the river? Are they coming down like, are they going down my road? Are they going up the other side of town? Oh, I wonder who it is. I hope they're okay." Like, I'm going over in my head, like, the likely people that could be having an ambulance called for them, and I'm like, "Oh, no, I hope it's not so and so. I hope they're alright. I should check in and see if someone else on that side of town knows what's going on." Like, bananas to people who live in civilization. They're just like, "What how could you even expend that much mental energy on this? Why would you even know any of this?" And it's like, "Yeah, well, around here you do because there aren't very many people." The flip side of this is that I hear gunshots all the time because I live out in the woods. It's just like, "Oh, people firing guns, that's absolutely whatever. That is not worth noting in any way." Alright, it's gonna be from, like, there to there. Okay. And it's like, why whereas if you live in, like, a city or a suburb in, like, a densely populated area, if you hear gunshots, you're like, "Oh shit, what's going on? Should I call the cops?" Like and, like, around here, we just don't worry about it because it's like, yeah, somebody's probably target practicing or they're shooting at squirrels or other vermin or hunting or whatever. If like the only time I get even a little bit concerned is when I only hear one shot. And then I'm just like or if you hear like a bunch of shots in like rapid succession, because that's also like not something that you do if you're, you know, hunting. Maybe if you're just being a goober while you're target practicing and you're just like, hey, I'm gonna like waste a bunch of ammunition. Um, but yeah, if you hear like a single shot, or if you hear a whole bunch in rapid succession, that's when I'm like, "Uh, hopefully that was nothing." And those 2 neighbors that have been in a fight for a while didn't finally decide to friggin' kill each other. Okay. So, as I mentioned last time, I hadn't finished this top panel because this is kind of spoilery for the page that was just posted on the website last week. So, if you aren't caught up, go do that because I'm going to keep working on this. Living out just outside city limits, near a set of tracks, close to both a hospital and a firehouse. You hear gunshots, train horns, and sirens pretty much all day and night. Yeah, you're just like, noise? What noise? Are the chickens put away? Thank you. So yeah, we may not quite finish this page on stream, but I'll get close enough that I'll be able to finish it up off stream before next week. Odd because he grew up in the mountains of Massachusetts, so I didn't have that sort of noise around me, but I had no trouble adjusting to it. Sleep right through it all. Yeah, it's pretty much just like what is normal to you. That's you get used to it. I lived in the city for years as well, and I just got in Savannah, and I just got used to yeah, constant sirens, constant traffic, like just all the regular city noises. You do, you just get used to it. All right. Yay, I have one figure completed in this scene. Ah. Trying not to get too worried about all the little details because obviously this is gonna be pretty tiny. All right, there's another figure. Progress. Now we're gonna do our tiny little cat figure. And there he is. Just a little cat guy. I'm gonna have to look up some of my previous pages to figure out what is going on in this background. We'll get there. And oh noes. Oh noes. As I said, this is a spoiler for what there was at the last page I posted. And as you can see, the last page I posted ended badly for a bunch of people. That one's got like some polling going on because Wen is messing with it. So I'll go ahead and draw her in now too. Try to figure out where all of Wen's limbs are before I finish trying to pencil her in. All right. Well, we're in the last 10-ish minutes of the stream. So I'm going to start going over the YouTube things while I get as far as I can on this page before we call it for the evening. I'm Amanda Call. This is my channel. This is my comic, Age of Night. Here on this channel, I do these live streams just about every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm very often working on comics, but sometimes I'll work on other illustrations and that sort of thing. One of the comics I often work on, and the one I happen to be working on this week, is my webcomic Age of Night, which you can read for free online at ageofnight.com. That updates every week, usually on like a Wednesday, Thursday-ish situation. Somewhere around there. Somewhere around midweek, depending on how crazy things are for me when I'm able to get to it. And while you can read the whole thing for free, you can also help support me by purchasing copies of the first 4 volumes on Amazon, on Drive-Thru Comics, Drive-Thru RPG, and Drive-Thru Fiction, or from me at an event or something. And while you can read all of it for free, the other option you can do is to help support my work by supporting me on Patreon. That is at patreon.com/ageofnight. That's spelled the same way as the comic, which is AGEOFNIGHT. Patrons get all of their comic updates a week early, so they're going to get the first page of chapter 30 this week. Everybody who is going to the website and viewing them publicly is going to have to wait until next week for the first page. So it's a pretty cool little perk, and it helps me out a whole bunch. Go ahead and put Thel in here now too. We're finishing up. Other comic projects I am currently involved with are, or the only other one currently is, I am also illustrating Prophets of Doom by Joe Schmalke through Midnight Factory Press. First issue I'm working on right now, and that should be coming out this fall. You can learn more about that at midnightfactorypress.com. That wants to be all cool and have swords on his back, even though it's very inconvenient for me to draw all the time. What else? Oh, yes, social media things. You can find me on various social media platforms to varying degrees of activity as either Age of Night or Amanda Call Art. These days, I am mostly active on Instagram and Blue Sky. And of course, you can always follow me here on YouTube so that you don't miss when I go live by, subscribing and doing the notification thing, whatever that is these days. And what is coming up? I don't have anything coming up super soon other than at the beginning of July 5th, I'm going to be at the Bangor Sidewalk Art Festival, which is also always a very good time. So if you're in the area, you should definitely check that show out. It's usually quite good. Okay, that's going to be Thel. That's going to be us for the evening. So I got through most of the pencils now. I've got 5 of the panels completely done. I've got a good start on the last first/last panel. So this one, I don't have a ton left. I'm going to finish it up off stream, and then next week we will begin with either lettering or inking. We'll see if I get up to lettering it off stream or if I decide to do that on stream instead. So yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with me. I will see you all next time. Bye.